President Trump is again floating the idea of deporting Americans to El Salvador. And the Trump administration is freezing billions in funding for Harvard University after the university rejected demands around its hiring and admissions practices. Good morning. I'm Corva Coleman from NPR News, and here are today's top stories. President Trump met Salvadoran President Nayib Bukele at the White House yesterday. Trump did not ask Bukele to release a man wrongly deported from the U.S. last month to a Salvadoran prison. The White House claims without evidence the deported man, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, is a gang member, allegations his lawyers deny. The U.S. Supreme Court has told the Trump administration to facilitate his return. NPR's Franco Ordonez says it appears the Trump administration is taking a very limited view of the court's decision.
So at this meeting yesterday, Attorney General Pam Bondi said the Supreme Court's order to facilitate simply means they need to provide a plane to return him. But first, El Salvador has to release him. And it's clear the Trump administration has no intention of asking Bukele to do that.
NPR's Franco Ordonez reporting. Trump also talked to the Salvadoran president yesterday about the possibility of deporting American citizens to El Salvador. Trump says U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi is reviewing this.
If it's a homegrown criminal, I have no problem. Now, we're studying the laws right now. Pam is studying. If we can do that, that's good. And I'm talking about violent people. I'm talking about really bad people.
The Salvadoran president said that he had, quote, room. Another pro-Palestinian protester has been detained by federal immigration officials. Mossad Madawi was an organizer at Columbia University's protests last year. NPR's Jasmine Garz reports he was detained yesterday at an immigration office in Vermont after arriving for a citizenship test.
Mossad Madawi was born and raised in a refugee camp in the West Bank and moved to the U.S. in 2014. He'd recently gotten his BA and was planning to enroll at Columbia for a master's degree in international affairs. He has a green card. His lawyers say he believed he was arriving to an immigration appointment that would bring him closer to becoming a U.S. citizen. He is detained at an immigration center in Colchester, Vermont. A judge has granted his lawyer's request for a temporary restraining order to prevent federal officials from transferring him to a more conservative jurisdiction, which is what has happened to several other college demonstrators who've been arrested. Jasmine Garst, NPR News, New York.
The Trump administration has pulled more than $2 billion of federal funding from Harvard University. The university has refused to comply with several Trump administration demands. Some of these demands include getting rid of all DEI programs and tracking students who, quote, support terrorism or anti-Semitism. Harvard says no government, no matter which party is in power, should dictate what private universities can teach or whom they can admit or hire. NPR's Janaki Mehta reports Harvard says it will lose funding for programs that benefit all Americans.
Harvard actually updated the homepage of its website to reflect how federal dollars support research they do. They list research on treatments for several forms of cancer, heart disease, organs and transplantation, and they say federal funding is the university's largest source of support for what Harvard calls cutting-edge, groundbreaking research.
NPR's Janaki Mehta reporting. The Federal Emergency Management Agency is denying a request from Washington State. Washington officials are seeking help to recover from a storm last year. From member station KUOW, Scott Greenstone has more.
In the Seattle area last year, winds from a bomb cyclone felled trees onto homes and power lines. The damage topped $30 million, but last week FEMA said they wouldn't help, giving no reason why and not responding to a request for comment. Governor Bob Ferguson, a Democrat, said Washington met all criteria.
You would like to think that our federal government would not be making decisions about emergency assistance based on how a state leans politically or how a state voted in the last presidential election. But, we have to acknowledge that that is certainly a possibility here.
In President Trump's last term, a Washington state application for wildfire relief remained unanswered for 4 months until Biden took office. For NPR News, I'm Scott Greenstone in Seattle.
Russia says 1 woman died and 9 others were injured after Ukraine launched a wave of drone attacks on its neighboring border region of Kursk. From Moscow, NPR's Charles Maines has details.
Russian authorities in Kursk say the region was subjected to a massive enemy attack overnight. Russia's defense ministry said its air defenses shot down more than 100 drones over the skies of Kursk, claims it could not be independently confirmed. Yet video posted online showed several apartment buildings on fire or with significant damage from explosions. The apparent Ukrainian attack comes just days after 2 Russian missiles struck the Ukrainian city of Sumy, killing several dozens of civilians and injuring scores more, according to Ukrainian officials. Russia has defended the attack as a strike on a nearby gathering of Ukrainian military officers, but presented no evidence. Charles Maynes, NPR News, Moscow.
Lawmakers in Hungary have passed an amendment to the country's constitution. It will let the Hungarian government ban public events held by the LGBTQ community. The amendment has been pushed through the Hungarian parliament. Backers say efforts to protect children supersede all other rights. That includes the right for the public to assemble. Paige Bueckers is the top pick in this year's WNBA draft. Just over a week ago, she helped win the college national championship with the Yukon Huskies. Now she's heading to the Dallas Wings to start her professional career. NPR's Becky Sullivan prepared this report.
The number 1 pick this year was no surprise.
The Dallas Wings select Paige Bueckers, University of Connecticut.
The 23-year-old Bueckers has been a top talent since she was a high schooler. At Yukon, she lived up to expectations when she wasn't sidelined by injuries. She won National Player of the Year awards in 2021, reached 4 Final Fours, and finally cut down the nets with the national title earlier this month. Even as she was expected to go number 1, she felt grateful afterwards, she said.
I mean, you don't ever want to assume anything in life. Nothing is guaranteed. So for this moment to be here, it's nerve-wracking. You just have a level of excitement.
The WNBA season gets underway in mid-May. Becky Sullivan, NPR News.
You're listening to NPR.